An unexpected twist on Piers Morgan Uncensored. One of the most explosive moments in live television history was about to unfold. Across from Piers Morgan sat Denzel Washington. Collected, dressed sharp, eyes steady. You could feel it in the air. Something was coming. Morgan leaned back with that trademark smirk, fresh off what he thought was a knockout critique of Washington's recent Capitol Hill comments. His British accent dripping with arrogance. "Mr. Washington," Morgan began, adjusting his tie with a smug grin, "surely even you must admit your recent performances in politics have been more about crafting a personal brand than serving the American people." What happened next sent shockwaves through the media world. Denzel reached into a sleek leather folder, pulled out a legal document, placed it on the table with deliberate calm. The camera zoomed in on the paper's United States District Court. "Southern District of New York, actually Piers," he said, voice low, firm. "Unshaken, I'm here to serve you with something else entirely. Beat. You've just been served with a $20 million defamation lawsuit." 5 seconds of silence. That's all it took. Long enough to watch Piers Morgan's face glitch through confusion, disbelief, then full-blown panic. The clip of his frozen jaw would rack up millions of views in under 48 hours. Piers Morgan had always thrived in chaos. Former tabloid editor, America's Got Talent judge, master of provocation. His show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, was a platform to jab at American politics, especially progressive voices. His style sharp, interruptible, to corner and embarrass. For the past 6 months, his spotlight had locked in on Denzel Washington's segment after name-calling, labeling him a fraud, questioning his patriotism. But then Morgan crossed a line. Denzel, a man of principle, a student of laundress, did the weight of words and the boundaries of defamation. The final straw came 3 weeks prior. Morgan aired a segment titled "The Denzel Washington Problem," claiming Denzel had faked his academic background, was under ethics investigation, held undisclosed financial conflicts. Every word. Alan Denzel had the receipts. Morgan's team thought this would be another ambush, other scalp for the real. What they got was a lesson in precision, a live tactical counterstrike. Interview began. Predictably, Morgan launched hard. "Mr. Washington," he said, "eyes narrowing, your recent political appearances have been described as theatrical grandstanding." Denzel's reply came smooth, not rushed, controlled. "Piers, when you stand up to power, really stand up, some folks will always call it a performance, but that's exactly why I was sent to the Capitol to speak truth and hold folks accountable." Morgan didn't blink. He pushed again. "But surely some of your tactics are questionably your confrontation with Justice Arlo, for example." Denzel cut in. Polite but firm legal scholars praised that exchange. Piers said, "My preparation was airtight too. May not like the delivery, but the facts are solid." Morgan's voice sharpened. He was agitated now. "Let's talk credentials, sure. 44, barely 2 years into politics. Yet, you talk like a policy veteran. Isn't that presumptuous?" Denzel leaned forward, slightly, still calm. "Still cool. My record speaks. I'm a licensed attorney, civil rights law. Graduated from Farumthan, got my JD from UNYO, over a decade of practice including federal cases." Then came the twist of the knife. "And you, Piers, what legal training do you bring to this conversation?" Morgan stiffened. "I'm a journalist, Mr. Washington. I ask the questions." Denzel cracked a half smile, just clarifying who's doing the interrogating here. Tension rising, producers likely screaming in Morgan's ear to regain flipped open a folder. "Let's get specific. Then questions have been raised about your financial disclosures, your ties to lobbyists, transparency issues." Denzel sat up straighter. His voice took on a harder edge. "That's interesting. Piers, go ahead, be specific, because I have nothing to hide." Morgan leaned in. "Reports say your academic records are being questioned, that you're under ethics review, that you failed to disclose financial conflicts." The studio went dead quiet. "Were hard claims and false." Denzel's voice dropped the courtroom tone, the cross-examination rhythm. "Piers, you need to be very careful. Are you stating on air that my degree is under review? I'm under investigation, that I've hidden financial ties?" Morgan, sensing a crack, doubled down. "These are concerns raised by credible sources. The American people deserve the truth." Denzel's voice was steady, but there was weight behind it. "And these so-called credible sources, Piers, who are they exactly?" Before the showdown continued, day quiet, beat for tension, voiceover before We get into it. Subscribe now, because what's coming next? They definitely don't want you to. Morgan waved a hand, brushing it off. I'm not going to need to reveal my sources. That's when Denzel dropped the first real blow. Piers, he said, tone dropping into cross-examination. You just made several specific false statements about me on live television. A pause. My law degree has never been questioned. I am not under investigation. I have no undisclosed financial conflicts. He leaned forward, voice like steel wrapped in silk. And more importantly, I believe you knew these statements were false. Then came the hammer. 3 weeks ago, production team contacted my office. My staff sent back documented proof that every single one of those claims was baseless. Something shifted. Morgan's posture faltered. Mr. Washington, I stand by my reporting, he muttered. Denzel didn't blink. Your reporting, he repeated, cutting in sharp. Piers, you haven't reported a thing. You've echoed lies without verifying a single fact. You VE ignored the evidence, and now you're standing here doubling down on garbage you know isn't true. The air changed. The tension thickened. Morgan tried to wrest control. Now hold on just a minute. Denzel raised his voice for the first time. It wasn't yelling, it was righteous fire. No, you hold on. Piers beat. For months, you've made false statements about you've questioned my qualifications, my integrity, my honesty without a shred of factual basis. He reached into his briefcase again. Deliberatum. You want to talk about accountability? He pulled out a folder, thick and ready. Let's talk about yours. Morgan looked rattled. Mr. Washington, I think you're being a little oversensitive. This is legitimate journalism. Denzel turned toward the camera, now his voice commanding the room. Legitimate journalism means facts. It means checking, sources, giving people a chance to respond, and when you get it wrong, it means correcting the record. He opened the folder. I've got the receipts, Piers transcripts, emails, every false statement you've made. Every moment your team was handed the truth and chose to ignore it. The studio was electric. Producers scrambling behind the glass. They knew what this was now, not an interview, a reckoning. And more than that, Denzel continued, I have evidence showing you made these statements with actual malice. That means you either knew they were false or didn't care. Morgan tried one last move. Mr. Washington, I get you're upset, but threatening legal action on air, that's not appropriate. Denzel didn't flinch. He reached into his briefcase one final time. I'm not threatening anything, Piers, he said. I'm taking it. He pulled out the document, placed it down the moment the papers hit the desk. The whole room changed. Morgan's trademark smirk dissolved. Gone. Piers, Stefan Morgan. Denzel said formally, you are hereby served with a complaint filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. The camera zoomed in. Morgan's face shifted from confident host to cornered man. His mouth opened. No words came out. This can't be real, he stammered. You can't just... On live television, Denzel didn't even blink. Oh, it's very real, Piers, and serving you on air is fitting, because that's where you committed the defamation. He opened the complaint. The lawsuit alleges defamation per se, false light invasion of privacy, intentional interference with business relations. He looked Morgan dead in the eye. You've made false statements about my professional qualifications, my ethics, my fitness for public service. Morgan's eyes darted toward the control booth, but the producers were frozen. Deer in headlights. Denzel continued, we're seeking $20 million in damages, plus punitive damages, plus a court-ordered injunction to force you to issue public corrections and retractions. Morgan's voice cracked. $20 million. That's absurd. Denzel didn't miss a beat, actually. Given your global audience and the repeated nature of your lies, our experts consider $20 million conservative. He dropped another document on the desk. On October 19th, you stated, I faked my law degree that provably false. You've gotten my law school transcripts, my bar certification. Morgan tried to jump in, but Denzel rolled right through him. On October 22nd, you claimed I was under investigation by the House Ethics Committee. That's Aliyev got a signed statement confirming no such inquiry exists. On November 4th, Denzel continued, you claimed I had financial conflicts of interest. He paused, letting the words land. That's false again. My financial disclosures are public record. Anyone can access them. Your team. Did you just choose to ignore it with each documented fact? Morgan seemed to shrink a little more in his chair, but here's what makes this case especially strong, Denzel said, pulling another document from his folder. He held it. UPA printed stack of emails. These are communications from your production team. They show you received evidence disproving your claims before you made them on air. He flipped to the top page. October 12th, your producer, Sarah Mitchell, emailed my office asking about my educational background. My staff responded with my law degree, my bar admission, and my academic transcripts. Morgan's color visibly drained. We get a lot of emails, he mumbled. Shifting in his seat, Denzel wasn't moved. October 20th, your team asked if I was under investigation. My chief of staff gave a clear response: no. Such investigation exists. November 1, STU asked about my financial disclosures. We sent you direct links to my public filings. He leaned back slowly. So no, Piers, this wasn't just reckless. This was intentionally ignored the truth because it didn't fit the narrative you wanted to sell. Morgan wiped his forehead. Mr. Washington, surely we can handle this off-camera. Denzel gave a small, knowing smile. Oh no. Piers, who chose to assassinate my character in front of millions. So it's only right you face the consequences the same way. He pulled another page from the lawsuit. Voice resolute. This complaint also outlines the harm you have caused. Since you started spreading these leaks, received thousands of threatening messages, harassing phone calls. Have had to increase my personal security. My team's been flooded with media calls all creeping in. This is unprecedented. He said quietly, you can't just sue someone for doing journalism. That's exactly the point. Denzel replied, locking eyes with him, you weren't doing journalism. Piers, you were doing theater, creating entertainment out of defamation. Not journalism. That's reckless reputation. Destroying slander, and there are laws against it. The legal papers rustled again in Denzel's hand. This suit also seeks injunctive relief. We win. You'll be required to issue public retractions. Your sue on your social media everywhere. These lies spread, and you'll be barred, legally prohibited from making further false statements about me. Morgan scrambled for one last angle. This is clearly a publicity stunt. That's when Denzel's tone changed, no longer just calm. Now, there was fire behind the words. A publicity stunt. I'm a sitting public servant. I don't need stunts. What I need is for people like you to stop lying without consequences. Voice rose, not loud, but powerful, measured, righteous. This lawsuit isn't about publicity, it's about accountability. For too long, people like you have hidden behind journalism while poisoning reputations with lies, made a game out of character assassination. He pointed directly at Morgan. Now, well, guess what? Those days are over. You want to critique my policies? Go right ahead, but the moment you lie about my credentials, my ethics, my fitness to serve, that's not protected speech. That's defamation. And now, he locked eyes. Now, you're going to pay for it. The studio was dead silent. Morgan couldn't speak. He was stone still. Denzel calmly added, when the process server is standing by just outside your studio. Then he turned to camera. But since we're live, service is complete. He placed the final document down with precision. You've been officially served. Mr. Morgan, he gathered his papers. Slow and deliberate, your legal team's going to want to go through that complaint line by line. Discovery starts in 30 days. He turned to leave, then paused just before exiting. And Piers, he looked over his shoulder. Next time you try to destroy someone's name, you might want to have your facts straight. First in this country, we have losange, my friend, are about to learn them the hard way. He walked off set, cool, dignified. The camera held on Morgan, whose face was drained of color. The once confident provocateur now frozen, exposed. 10 long seconds passed before he finally stammered, We'll be right back after the break. The damage was done within minutes. Clips of Denzel calmly serving Piers Morgan on live television were everywhere. Millions of views, trending worldwide. One Harvard law professor posted, this is how you handle media defamation in the digital age. Preparation, precision. Public accountability, even in Britain, where Morgan had long been a media darling. Headlines turned. The Guardian ran a brutal editorial. The Times of London wrote, Morgan's downfall is a case study in everything broken about today's media culture. Meanwhile, legal experts from across the globe began dissecting the Washington versus Morgan lawsuit as a watershed moment. Oxford University's Reuters Institute announced a full research study, but the fallout wasn't just academic, it was financial. Talk TV's stock plummeted 14% after hours. Major advertisers froze or backed out. Morgan's personal brand in freefall. His social media following dropped by over 550 in days. Inside Talk TV, Chaos reigned. Board meetings turned frantic discussions swirled about cutting Morgan loose. Lawsuit didn't just name him, it named the entire network, and that meant TV could be on the hook for the full $20 million. Media figures gave mixed reactions. Some publicly defended Morgan, many privately backed Denzel's. For Denzel, the response was thunderous. His office received over 100 messages of support. Americans, from law students to veterans, saw something in that calm confrontation. It wasn't just about ego, it was about principle. 3 months later, Morgan's legal team filed a motion to dismiss, claiming everything he said was just opinion. But Denzel's team wasn't playing games. They filed a fierce rebuttal, included audio recordings from inside Morgan's production meetings. In one clip, Morgan was heard saying, "Yeah, that claim probably isn't true, but it'll make good TV," and it got worse. During discovery, it came out that talk TV execs knew many of the claims were false, and still they ran with them. Why? For ratings. That revelation sparked a wave of lawsuits and government inquiries, not just in the US, but in the UK too. The ripple effect was global. Public opinion shifted harder. Poll 6 months after the broadcast showed 72% of people supported legal action against media personalities who spread falsehoods. Cultural reckoning had begun. This one case changed the rules. Public figures stopped brushing off lies from media bullies. Now they fought back with truth, with evidence, with the law. Piers Morgan, he lost his show, he lost his credibility, he lost the very platform he once used to tear others down. Talk TV quietly settled the case for an undisclosed sum. They issued a full public apology, a written retraction, and a promise to do better. Denzel, he didn't gloat, he didn't celebrate, he moved forward. He emerged as one of the most effective, composed, and strategic public figures of his generation, proving that with discipline and criticism and a little courtroom hetchu can beat the spin machine. The case became required reading in journalism, ethics, defamation, land, political science courses around the world. Professors called it a turning point. Students studied every frame, and in a world moving faster than truth can catch up, this case reminded us careless journalism has consequences, and when the lies get loud, the truth has to speak louder. What do you think about all this? Let us know in the comments below, and if this story struck a chord, subscribe to Truth Stories. We going deep into the stories they hope you never hear. This was just the beginning. God bless you, and God bless America.